Fantastic Planet.
At first glance, Avatar and Fantastic Planet might seem like the same exact movie. Both feature giant blue aliens, a human protagonist integrating into an alien culture, and a morale about respecting nature and coexistence. But what Fantastic Planet does, and frankly does better, is flip the perspective in a way that challenges how you relate to both sides of opposition. In a way that sort of forces you as an audience member to desire coexistence between the two opposing sides rather than the human race completely annihilating their opposition. So when humans show up, invade the Na'vi, and destroy their sacred tree and terrorize Pandora, you find yourself hating your own species and siding with the Na'vi, which is a unique feat, especially in today's sort of CGI saturated cinema. It's we don't usually cheer for fully animated aliens over our own race. It's bold storytelling for sure, but still locked into a very binary us versus them narrative. It's not like this hasn't been done before. With westerns like The Searchers or Yulzana's Raid, they tackle sort of the same thematics of confronting one's own culture and history, but through a Western genre lens. Fantastic Planet, though, is completely different from Avatar, from Yulzana's Raid, from The Searchers. It does something else entirely. The first half of Fantastic Planet is all about relating to the Draags, the blue aliens of Ygam. And they're not some faceless, unknowable species, all right? They have pets, they have families, they have rituals and a work-life balance. They even have politics broadcasted on TV for education and entertainment purposes. They are in many ways more relatable to us than the human characters of Fantastic Planet, who are sort of depicted as these lesser, primitive, animalistic beings that are treated as pets, essentially. I mean, it's very Planet of the Apes. But then comes Ter, the human messianic character, and he gains access to the Draag's knowledge, and he learns their ways, and this is about halfway through the movie. And at that point, you start switching sides consciously. You go from empathizing with the Draags to now you're cheering on the human race. And this shift, it doesn't feel forced. It feels very natural. It's and naturally so. I think we're going to be naturally drawn to cheering for humans over aliens. And Fantastic Planet just sort of shines a spotlight on that dynamic. And that's sort of the brilliance of René Laloux, is he doesn't make one side evil and the other righteous. Instead, he shows you the value of both sides. Where Avatar paints in this sort of, this picture of, good Na'vi, bad humans, Fantastic Planet sort of lives in between. You root for the humans because, of course, you want them to be free, but you don't necessarily want the Draags destroyed. When the humans start destroying the statues that the Draags use to interact with other civilizations, you actually feel for the Draags. You actually feel bad that they're mentally disconnecting from each other and they're getting blind because of it, and the humans are blowing up the statues, and like you're not satisfied by that situation. You wouldn't like it if that's how the story ended. And it's not until the film's final shot, when the voiceover of the historian narrates how the Draags and the humans, they learn to coexist. It's not until that final shot that you feel a sense of closure and you're actually satisfied with the circumstance. Now that said, if you don't know anything about me, I am a huge Avatar fan. I saw Way of Water twice in theaters. And while I'm excited about those films and I'm looking forward to the third one, I am concerned about the future of that franchise because of this particular risk, not just because of the massive budget that it takes to make those films, not just because of the poor use of the cast and crew, but the greater risk is as Cameron pulls us deeper into Pandora and aligns us more and more with the Na'vi, he's drifting further and further from humanity. Ironically, he's alienating the audience from the human race. If by the end of the whole Avatar franchise, there's no redemption or coexistence for the human race with the Na'vi, odds are it'll land in an ethically hollow place that would feel really dissatisfying.
A visual trip through a fantastic universe.
The backdrop of Fantastic Planet isn't just sci-fi fantasy. I mean, it's deeply political. I mean, how often is science fiction just science fiction? At least good science fiction is rooted in something deeply political. The humans in the film, they destroyed their own world. The subtext, which is highlighted about 15 minutes into the film, the subtext is that they basically destroyed themselves. And then the Draags sort of replaced them as the dominating species. And their arrival on Ygam, it's not really made clear on how that happened, but I imagine it was sort of like an interstellar situation where you have like a desperate migration from a dying Earth. That subtext was heavily inspired by real-world history events. So René Laloux was actually working on the film in Czechoslovakia with animator artist Roland Topor. And the production was halted during what was called the Prague Spring in 1968 when the Soviet Union basically rolled in with their tanks and all that stuff. That basically halted the production of Fantastic Planet for over a year. And that whole political upheaval, it is of my opinion, though I cannot confirm this, I think that historical event, that halted production of Fantastic Planet, was actually shoehorned into the film in a way that actually works and is effective. There's a particular instance in the film where they do a brief educational retelling of the origins of the human race. And it talks about how they destroyed themselves. And the artist renderings, compared to the rest of the film, look rushed. And it's depicted in black and white. So I'm of the theory that while the Prague Spring was taking place, René Laloux saw an opportunity to be culturally relevant. But of course, by doing that, he didn't realize that that would actually make Fantastic Planet even more timeless than it was. Because if there was ever a time in our history, at least in our generation, where we're the most worried of self-annihilation, it's today. So the irony is Fantastic Planet actually became more relevant because of the political upheaval of that time. There's a quote by former U.S. Vice President Hubert Humphrey. When all is said and done, we must forgive each other, redeem each other, and move on. And I think that is the heartbeat of Fantastic Planet. It's not domination, it's not vengeance, it's not man versus AI or totalitarianism. Even though all of those things are present, I think the heartbeat of Fantastic Planet is actually coexistence. In today's climate, cinematically and culturally, there's sort of this exhausting push for ideology over empathy, division over dialogue. And a lot of that stems from woke culture and DEI. We've completely removed selflessness and forgiveness from the pursuit of peace, which is a paradox, by the way. You don't get peace without selflessness and forgiveness. The Draags only find peace with the humans when they sacrifice their political endeavors, and the humans only find peace when they forgive the Draags for mass genocide. So whether you're left, or you're right, or you're gay, or you're straight, or you're Christian, or you're atheist, there is no peace until both parties can be selfless and forgive each other. So, all that said, here's hoping years from now we can look back at the Avatar franchise when it's all completed, and we'll be able to look at those films and say James Cameron's story about giant blue aliens fighting against the human race gave our generation the same kind of grace that René Laloux's Fantastic Planet did.
Fantastic Planet, a New World picture.